Okay. SEC Opening Day 2026. It's one of the most highly anticipated days in all of sports for SEC fans, and today did not fail to meet expectations. It was a fantastic day, and I'm going to break down each and every game, starting with Oklahoma and Texas Tech. But before I start and get into the nitty-gritty of each game, I just want to state that obviously, with the amount of games going on today, I didn't get to watch every single one, every single moment of every single game. But that being said, the purpose of this video is not to give you a detailed, full, in depth breakdown of each game. It is to break down what each game means for each team, how the game went down, and what it will eventually mean for the rest of the season and for tomorrow, the next day, each series, every game, every SEC team, and the landscape of the SEC, all that jazz. But before I get started, please like, comment, and subscribe. It would be very, very helpful, and your help would be very appreciated. We're doing great on all socials, but we're still trying to grow this YouTube thing, so a subscribe would really be helpful. But that being said, let's go ahead and get into this, and I'm going to start, and I'm kind of going to go in not too much of a particular order here, but I'm kind of going to go with, time when the game happened, and also just with the impact of the game, which games were bigger. Some we had ranked matchups, and then we also had games against, Northern Kentucky, and all games are great, and I'm not gonna complain, but I'm gonna get to, certain ones first. But with the first game of the day in the SEC and one of the first games in college baseball, it was the Oklahoma Sooners taking on the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and this was in Globe Life Field. This was the first game of the Shriners College Baseball Showdown, the Shriners College Baseball Classic, and we've had some great matchups in this tournament throughout these years. Throughout the past couple of years, and today was no different. We've had 3 great games for SEC teams in this tournament today, and Oklahoma started off with a bang for SEC baseball, beating the Red Raiders 10-3. And I don't know what Texas Tech has in store for this year. They are usually a premier college baseball team, but I know it's been some couple down years for them. This game, it wasn't quite as a blowout as it seemed. Oklahoma pulled away in the ninth with 5 runs, but they still had control most of the game. And it was a great performance from Oklahoma overall. We saw some key performances from key guys and a offensive burst. And I just, the storyline for Oklahoma going into this season is, can you top what you did last year? Last year, I think we saw some promise from Oklahoma, but we still need more, right? Losing in the Chapel Hill Regional, but there's a lot to uphold from this Oklahoma team. The guy we really need to focus on, though, was Cam Johnson. He was the starting pitcher for the Oklahoma Sooners today, and the guy absolutely shoved. He was insane. I think he had 11 strikeouts, something like that, 1 earned run allowed, and he was really the difference in this game, and he kind of set the tone early for Oklahoma, and he's a guy that we're definitely going to have to start watching out for as a guy that maybe can be one of the better starting pitchers in the SEC, which is going to be saying a lot considering the SEC is going to have an insane amount of great pitchers, starting pitchers especially. So a fantastic game and a fantastic win for Oklahoma. And I don't know who they have tomorrow in the Shriners Baseball Classic. I think it may be Oklahoma State and Bedlam, which will be a very, very fun matchup. Oklahoma State obviously losing to Arkansas here as I speak. And let's go ahead and flip the script and go to the South Carolina Gamecocks taking on the Northern Kentucky Norse. And look, I didn't realize there were 2 games. It was a doubleheader today for South Carolina, and I put the stats for the first game and the score for the second game, but I'm just going to kind of put them both into one. Look, Kai Sorsby, absolutely insane walk-off hit, home run at the end of the second game to win 5-6 for South Carolina, and a South Carolina team under head coach Paul Laroni, year 2. So it's kind of a year that you want to see much improvement. And Northern Kentucky, I don't know anything about them, but what I did see was a lot of fight today. And South Carolina, they couldn't just walk in here and waltz out with a win. And 2 wins, though. They started off the season with 2 wins. That's always good, no matter who you're playing. And there were some good teams that they were playing. So, I mean, not some good scratch all that. Beat Northern Kentucky. You'll take any win you can get in college baseball, especially on opening night, opening day. It's always, you're a little tight. And I do think there's a path for South Carolina to be good in the SEC this year. Today wasn't the best performance though. I mean, Northern Kentucky almost won this game if you don't have the KJ Scoresby home run walk off at the end of the game. So, but you're never going to sit here and complain about a win, especially on opening day. You know, you always a little tight. It's a little tougher on opening day is what I'm trying to say. Um, all right, moving on to LSU, and now they faced the Milwaukee. I don't even know what their mascot is, but it was a game that, looking at the final score 15-5 LSU, they took care of business, but it was not, a game LSU controlled all the way through by any means. Milwaukee was leading quite a lot of this game. LSU eventually picks up to speed in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning and routs Milwaukee, but not the it was a game that Milwaukee made LSU work, which is what you like to see, especially Lane Kiffin was at this game. The defending national championships, champions, the LSU Tigers, and they started off well. Kason Evans, though, was just the starting pitch for LSU, not the greatest performance. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Kason Evans. He's the last guy I'm worried about. Like I said, it's opening day. You get tight. They're real things that happen. And Gavin Goudry, a guy who just absolutely shoved here to close this game out for LSU and was kind of the factor to win this game. And the guy we really need to talk about, Big Papa, yes sir, Zach York with a absolute bomb in the I think it was the 2nd inning, and just there were a lot of home runs today, a lot of home runs, especially for LSU, though. A great win for the Tigers. You're never going to complain about an opening day win. I'll say that once. I'll say it again. You're never going to complain about an opening day win. And the LSU Tigers got a huge one, 15-5, and a game that, you came out and you did what you're supposed to do. Great atmosphere at the box. I saw a lot of fans there. Great atmospheres throughout college baseball today, and I just got to give credit to all the fans there. A growing sport, and it's so fun to see all these fans show up day in and day out. And moving on to Georgia, and they took on Wright State, and it was a 13-1 victory. Not too much to say about Georgia. Wes Johnson's squad handled business today, and it feels like this is kind of the same story every year. They go in out of conference play, just absolutely dominating opponents, and then when they're in conference play, they kind of cool down a little bit. But that's for Georgia. You did what you're supposed to, and the question is for me, because I think you will continue to do this throughout non-conference play. Can you transition this to conference play? You don't want to look that far ahead, but that's just my question for Georgia upcoming. Multiple guys had good performances today. Just a lot of runs scored, and it didn't even get to 9 innings, 7-inning game. That's the type of performance you love to see on opening day, and it was a great atmosphere at Georgia. Once again, SEC fans absolutely did their job today throughout the nation. And moving on, and we're kind of getting through these like little parts of the day where it's just all routes and great for these SEC teams. Kentucky over UNC Greensboro, and for some reason it was at UNC Greensboro, and I was a little interested when I saw that. But nonetheless, Kentucky, number 18 ranked, by the way, and a team that, in my opinion, is going to be a dark horse in the SEC. Just a monster win, 13-2, and a big day for Jace Tarnish, a guy that I think is going to be a very, very big player in the SEC this year. And his debut for Kentucky baseball, 2 of his 3 hits on the day, including a triple, 2-run, and 3 stolen bases. That is a great performance for Kentucky as a whole. Great performance for Jace Tarnish, and a Kentucky team, like I said, can be a dark horse this year in the SEC, and no better way to get it started than a just absolutely dominating win against UNC Greensboro. And once again, why are they playing at UNC Greensboro? Like, am I tripping, or is that that's a little strange? I mean, I guess you get more home games against better opponents, maybe. I don't know, but hopefully UNC Greensboro treated Kentucky well. They definitely did. For as far as the score goes, Kentucky wins 13-2. Like I said, not too much to say about these games. Just absolutely blowouts. Did what they're supposed to do. And it's another one here, Tennessee against Nicholls State. 10-0. Josh Elander, first game of the Josh Elander era for Tennessee. And, that can create jitters. And like I said, in opening day, there's a little bit of tightness. Whether you'd like to spin it, no matter who your opponent is, there's a little bit of tightness. And Tennessee got it out early. and they never looked back. I think this was the only shutout of the day, or at least one of them for the SEC. Just a great performance all around for Tennessee. And look, man, Tennessee without Tony Vitello, can you keep that swagger you've had these last few years? I think you can. I think you can. And this was a great start for Josh Lander, and it's just great. It's just fantastic to get that first win under your belt and get, it just kind of sets in stone that this era, it's not changing. And while I do think Tennessee will see a drop off, just a great way to start it off is get a convincing win under your belt. That just gets a lot of the pressure off. A lot of players with some home runs. I saw, I think, a highlight of Myatt. I can't remember his full name. Tyler Myatt. He had a huge home run and just a huge game for Tennessee. Great pitching. And win number 1 in the books for Josh Elander and company for the Tennessee Volunteers, and a great win for Tennessee. And moving on to not such a blowout, this was probably the game of the day. Everybody was looking forward and looking into this one. 23 ranked Vanderbilt Commodores coming in and taking on the 10th ranked TCU Horned Frogs. And this one did not disappoint. This was a game that went down to the wire, and it was kind of low scoring until the very end there. And it was solo home run shot after solo home run shot at the beginning of the game, and then at the very end, TCU finds a way to pull it out. A little bit of a controversy at the end there, though, and I want to hear Vanderbilt's fans' opinions on that, because it was definitely a controversial calling, and just a controversial ending to that game. But a good performance from Vanderbilt. TCU is a great team, and from this Shriners baseball showdown, whatever you want to call it, you're gonna face some good competition. Vanderbilt's going to face Arkansas on Sunday, I know. So it's you're going to face some good competition, and it's great to come out with a win. But I feel like these competitions, when you're facing elite competition, you're just trying to find out who you are, what's your identity. And today, Vanderbilt, I feel like you kind of saw a little bit of that, and it's one of the more questionable lineups as far as pitching goes for Vanderbilt. And I think I saw some good pitching. Excuse me. Vanderbilt or TCU is going to be a great hitting team. I think we've seen that. Tomorrow, Texas Tech. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, this game controversial to the end. TCU is going to be a great hitting team. We've seen that. I think they're going to be a great team in general. Vanderbilt's pitching, still has a lot of questions. We don't know. It's Tim Corbin usually gets his pitching staff in order, but it's more questionable than years past. And just today, I think we saw a pretty good performance from the pitching staff. 5 runs isn't terrible. And Fennell, that's what we're trying to think of. Fennell, he had a great, pretty good outing for Vanderbilt, and he's a guy that definitely is on people's watch list for going to be a good starting pitcher. But at the end of the day, you win some, you lose some. If that makes any sense. Just controversial ending, yeah. But it's one game in a long college baseball season, and just the fight that I saw from Vanderbilt, and they were kind of the better team in a lot of this game, but TCU ends up pulling this one out, and that was a great game. That was game of the day, and the game of the day tomorrow is also in the Shriners Baseball college baseball showdown, and it's Arkansas versus TCU. That's going to be a very fun matchup, and that the Globe Life Field, all those games, all those tournaments, they never seem to disappoint. All right, Ole Miss, did they have a doubleheader? No, they didn't. Well, Hunter Elliott shoved. What do you expect, guys? Hunter Elliott is a guy that I think he's all SEC preseason. He's a guy that's just, you expect the best from him, and he showed that today. Like I said, there's always a little tightness. First inning, Nevada gets a run in. No biggie. Ole Miss just absolutely dominates this game, and they're not ranked to start the season, but you keep putting up performances against like this, then you will find yourself ranked very soon. And tomorrow they play Nevada again in this series. I do believe that game's been shifted though due to inclement weather. And Coach Mike Bianca's 950th win, always a great thing to see. Legendary head coach Mike Bianca. But really, the story for this game, I feel like, is obviously a win. But you saw what you wanted to see from Hunter Elliott, right? I think that's really where I'm kind of drawing the how do I say this? Just what I take away from this game is you saw what you needed to see from Hunter Elliott, and hopefully he can keep improving, keep doing that, and stacking it up against good competition as well. Okay. Just gonna run through these few games. More just absolutely dominations. Auburn, Youngstown State, and Texas A&M versus Tennessee Tech. Not too much to say about these games. Just absolute blowouts. What you wanted to see from? Oh no. See, I didn't watch these games, and this is why you can catch me off guard. Auburn barely beats Youngstown State, and they pull out the win. But I didn't see much of this one at all. But a little little sweating going on in Auburn, and they end up pulling out the win. And very very a team people are betting on highly this year. This is a Auburn team that people are looking on. I'm looking on highly. I don't even think they're a dark horse anymore. I think they're a contender in the SEC. Texas A&M, on the other hand, took care of business, and I know Caden Sorrell had a couple shots, home runs, and that's exactly what you want to see. But like I said, I'm just going to run through those games. Florida, 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 Florida. Kevin O'Sullivan in Florida. 2023, you're the national champions. Went on an insane run. Last year, you felt like it was a down year, right? You felt like it was a down year, but you still kind of muster your way in late season, get hot and find yourself in the tournament. Couldn't make much out of it. This is not the way you want to start your season. University of Alabama Birmingham, the UAB. I don't know anything about the baseball program. I'm going to be completely honest with you, but as a number 13 ranked team, that's just unacceptable. There's still a series left, and I'm not going to go on it too much because, like I said, opening day, there's a lot of baseball left, and they could still very well end up winning the series, dominating the series. You never know, but just not what you want to see opening day wise, and just not what you want to see from Liam Peterson, a guy once again I think on the All SEC first team, a guy that is very very highly touted, and they just kind of got it went to extra innings, but they were just kind of UAB felt like the team that was more in control, more relaxed, and maybe it was tightness. I don't know what it was for Florida, but this cannot become a habit. This cannot be a thing. Once again, you cannot afford like another quote unquote down year for Kevin O'Sullivan and this Florida squad. Like, I feel like the fans deserve more. And this is a very, very prestigious Florida baseball program. And this is not going to cut it. I expect Kevin O'Sullivan and this Florida bunch to still be good, but this is not the start you wanted at all. And I didn't catch the full game of this one. I catched the very end, and just, credit to UAB. Came into Florida and absolutely imposed their will and came out with the W. You can't ask for much more if you're UAB and the Blazers. That's exactly how you want to start off your season. All right, Hail State, Mississippi State, and Brian O'Connor. We've had two brand new head coaches in the SEC, and they both came out with a W today, and that was Mississippi State. Brian O'Connor, number 4, and it wasn't, the prettiest win, but like I said, in opening day, you're tight. You want to just come out with a win, and you want to just relieve some of that stress. I expect it to be a little more dominant in these following games, but Mississippi State, they come out with a win, and it wasn't the prettiest. Great atmosphere at Mississippi State. I believe they broke a record for most people, most fans, most attendance at an opening day game. The the Mississippi State faithful are so ready for baseball season, and I do believe that we still will have a great Mississippi State team, Mississippi State year. But on all fronts, you kind of got dominated by Hofstra this game. Especially offensively, 10 hits for Hofstra, and you still come out with the win. Like I said, you can't take too much from this. It was kind of a late surge from Hofstra, and you held them off, but not the most impressive performance. But a win is a win, and I'm going to take a win on opening day any day of the week. That's especially in Brian O'Connor's first game, just get those jitters out, and it's a very real thing. Like it sounds like cliche, but opening day jitters are a very very real thing, and a great win for Brian O'Connor and company, and a great win for Mississippi State. And Hail State, number 4 team in the nation, they will continue to roll on, and they take on Hofstra again tomorrow. And a couple more games left. Alabama, Washington State. A team Alabama I was kind of high on, and I made a couple posts saying, Alabama could be sneaky good this year, kind of a dark horse team, but not the way you want to start it against Washington State. Now, I know Washington State's a powerful program. They're a legit program, and it's not as embarrassing as some of these other losses like UAB, but man, oh man, you can't just let them come into your home stadium and dog walk you like that. Tyler Fay, not the performance you wanted to see as far as pitching goes, and it just kind of feels like it's too early to say. But last year, what was the problem for Alabama? pitching, right? And this game was just kind of felt like last year, and that's not the kind of start you want. There's a lot of season left. Like I say, it's a lot of cliche going on in opening day, but there's a lot of season left, and at the end of the day, this is not what you wanted to see, but you still got a full series to prove everybody wrong. This was just not the greatest performance overall. Okay, I didn't put all the stats up for these last few games, but I'll break them down. And really, the one we all want to get to, the last one we have is Arkansas as they dominate Oklahoma State 12-2. And it was all Razorbacks fans in Arlington, Texas, Global Life Field. What's new? What's new? They just do they have the best traveling fan base in college football, basketball, baseball? I think so. I think they do. I think LSU may have a say in that. I don't know about best overall fans, but just as far as traveling goes, especially when it's in Arlington, Texas, they absolutely pack that place to the brim. Hog calls all night, and the announcers were saying it all day. But the emphasis on this game as the catcher Ryder Helfrich for Arkansas. Now, the guy absolutely was a baller today. First two at bats, home runs, just moonshots. And then I believe he had 100% on base percentage today, and also played great at catching. He threw a man out and was just very, very impressive all the way through for Arkansas. An Arkansas team that, it's a little bit more mysterious than they usually are. We don't know as much about them as we will. And, you lose Wahiba Aloy, and you have to return and get some guys from the transfer portal, get some recruits. And what's interesting is Arkansas has a true freshman starting at shortstop. So a very, very, a lot of expectations going on him as you have to, kind of live up to great shortstops at Arkansas, but a overall dominating performance from Arkansas. Great performance by Gabe Gackle and a great performance by the Arkansas bullpen. Gibble performed very well, and this is an Arkansas bullpen that is going to be, we expect to be one of the better and one of the best in the SEC as far as bullpens go. But a good performance by Arkansas. Like, you can't ask for much more than that. But you play TCU tomorrow, and that one's going to be so, so, so fun. So I hope you tune into that. That's tomorrow night, and that's got to be the game of the day, right? Number 7 Arkansas versus number 10 TCU. That was a great game last year at Global Life Field, and it's going to be another great one this year, I do believe. But this was a very, very successful opening day, a very, very fun opening day. And college baseball is just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. College baseball is always going to be so fun. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And just catch up on all your best college baseball, basketball, and football content in the SEC here at the Random SEC. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.